Hi again, and welcome to the channel. We're here at Proactive ESL, the place where we activate your English with teacher Andy. Today, we're going to be looking at a function. We're not going to be looking at grammar. We're not going to be looking at a topic. Functions are very important in English because you use them for speaking a lot. When you speak a lot, you feel good about the language, right? Examples of functions are buying things, or also when you give directions, for the subway, for the bus, but also ordering in a restaurant. Today, we're going to be focusing on the function of ordering in a restaurant. Functions are very important in learning a language because you feel great when you are able to use the function, when you're able to use the language in the specific real situation, like in a restaurant, you feel good. You feel that what you're learning has an impact in the real world. So functions, by being able to speak and to be able to understand what people say, become very important. They are part of what is known as survival English, because if you're in an English-speaking country, then of course, if you don't eat, you don't survive. So very important to be able to order food in a restaurant when you're learning the language. Because we're speaking of survival English, then the level for this specific lesson can be beginners, even intermediate, but beginners will really be helped with this lesson. You will be able to practice a lot. We will set up a lot of speaking and some listening exercises so that by the end of the lesson and when we set up the class, the virtual class using Skype or Zoom, you will feel great. Not only that you have learned something and you have it in your mind, but more importantly, remember language is something living, so it's not so important to have it in your head. The most important thing is to feel good about using it, and when you use it and you practice it, it really makes you feel great inside. So remember, if you like these videos, please like them, subscribe to the channel, and for sure share them with your friends, even your relatives, okay? Let's do it. Let's activate your eating. Let's activate your ordering in a restaurant. Let's activate your English. Let's do it. So here we are for the topic for today. Remember, we're looking at the function of ordering in a restaurant, and here we have a very beautiful restaurant. Look at that. Lovely colors, bluish, you feel like you're outdoors, outside. And then here we have the chef, right? Looks a little bit like teacher Andy, but a little bit older. Hopefully in the future I will look just like that. So today, remember, we're going to be working with a function. Functions, again, are very important for speaking and listening. They are the way that students, especially beginners and intermediate, start to learn how to speak and how to understand. Speaking English, understanding English is not easy. So the whole lesson is set so that you can practice speaking and practice listening. Once you feel comfortable learning one function for speaking and listening, then you have the basis for other functions and other grammar points. And with this, you will feel so much better about your English. We're going to start just by looking at some general questions so that you can discuss a little bit. Remember, if you're a beginner, don't worry. Whatever you say with the questions is going to be okay. After that, we're going to just look at a little bit of vocabulary regarding what you like. What do you like for drinks? What do you like for desserts, for example? And then moving from there, this is the most important section. We're going to look at the vocabulary that we use when ordering in a restaurant. But remember, I'm not going to tell you the vocabulary. You're not going to have a list and then you're just going to repeat it. What we're going to do first is you're going to try to remember. I know many of you have been in classes before, so the idea is for you to try to remember what vocabulary we use in ordering in a restaurant. Don't worry. When we finish, I will give you the whole list so you can practice. So don't worry about that. But remember, the most important thing is for you to be active, not so much that I repeat the words and the words because I know them, So the whole point is for you to feel good that you can use them, that you can understand them. How are we going to make sure that that is the way that is going to happen? Well, by focusing on the language in dialogues. We're going to start with a dialogue. This dialogue you're going to have to repeat with a friend, call somebody, a virtual call right now with COVID-19, or a relative at home. And then practicing this dialogue in conversation, you will slowly feel that you can do it. Don't worry, you will see how it goes. Then we're going to do some exercises for listening, because remember, when we are talking about survival English and you're in a restaurant, then you have to not only say what you want, but you have to understand what the waiter or the waitress tells you, right? If not, then you don't have a conversation. A conversation, usually speaking, listening. And remember, speaking and listening in English are the most difficult skills that we can have. After these speaking and listening exercises, where the objective is not to write anything, because imagine you go to a restaurant and then first you have to write the conversation. It's not going to work, right? So after that, we're going to start working with different kinds of menus. The first menu is going to be more for a beginner's kind of student. It's going to be very basic, basic words. You might have to look for some of the words using your free app dictionary, right? But then we're going to make some changes. And first, we're going to do some multicultural menus because, I live in Toronto. Toronto is a very multicultural city. And here we have restaurants from all over the world. We have Indian restaurants, we have Portuguese restaurants, Vietnamese restaurants, Thai restaurants, all Italian restaurants, all kinds of restaurants. So it's going to be cool for you to actually see what a different kind of menu looks like. And then we're going to look at one very specific Canadian menu. You'll check it out at the end. Finally, we have to set up the homework. Remember, the whole objective of this lesson is to set up the virtual class, which we will set up using Zoom or Skype. Or finally, we have different exercises for homework, as we usually do. These ones are the ones that you will set up for the virtual class. We will set up using Zoom or Skype. And at that time, we will look at those exercises and see how you can continue to activate your English, right? So let's do it. Let's look at ordering at a restaurant and we'll go from there. So remember, we always start with a warm-up exercise. This exercise is just for you, again, to feel that you can speak. If you're a beginner student, don't worry about it. Say whatever you can, okay? With whatever vocabulary you have. It doesn't matter. The idea is try to speak for 1 minute for each question. Do not write the answers. The whole idea is for you to feel comfortable speaking. Now, if you want to do it with a partner, then video call a friend or do it with a relative, and then you can both participate using English as a language. The first one is this one over here. It says, why do you like to go to restaurants, right? And which are your two favorite ones? Again, for 1 minute, discuss it with the partner or by yourself if you have to. Number 2 is share a Google picture of a famous or very special restaurant in your city. What is special about it? Remember, we are here in YouTube, right? And people from all over the world can watch it. I'm sure you have restaurants in your city, in your country, but especially in your city that are very special. Share them. Share them with others. You can do so again virtually. And again, you might be able to share them if we set up a private class, right? Finally, the third question is this one. What are the most important things for you in a restaurant? You can put them in order. You have to decide. Number 1 is live music. Number 2 is a nice atmosphere, right? Number 3 is quality organic food, even if it's expensive. Number 4, maybe for you, you're on a budget, right? So maybe inexpensive food is the most important thing. Number 5, good service. Is that really important for you? That the waiter, the waitress are nice to you? Or number 6, if it has a beautiful view. I've been to some that have such beautiful view. It's kind of something very important for many people, right? And finally, which is your favorite cuisine? Is it Chinese? Is it Indian? Is it Italian, Latin American, Thai, Vietnamese? Or are you the kind of person that really, really likes fast food? And have you tasted others where you live? Are you able to taste different cuisines? Or are you really kind of, you have to just taste one specific kind of cuisine, the one from your country? If so, then tell us about that cuisine. As usual, I try to answer some of the questions for you so that you see that I participate as well. I just don't tell you to do the exercise, but I myself try to do it so that you can see what a possibility is, right? In my case, I want to answer question number 4. Remember, the question is, which is your favorite cuisine? And if I have to choose one, then I have to say it is Chinese. Now, remember, what we want to do is I want you to use your phone and set up the timer. I have a new timer here. This one's kind of an analog timer. I'm just going to set it for 1 minute. There you go. It's 1 minute, and I'm just going to go ahead and start it. So it's going to count down, and I have 1 minute to speak. So I've set up the timer. I can start it. So here we go. So my favorite cuisine is Chinese. One of the reasons is since I was a little boy, I remember my parents bringing a lot of Chinese food to the house. So of course, this really makes you kind of like it because you remember many things. But when I moved to Toronto, I really started to like it even more. Here in Toronto, we have two Chinatowns. Can you imagine? One Chinatown is downtown, the other Chinatown is further east. And there you can taste all kinds of Chinese food. You can taste congee, you can taste dim sum, you can taste all kinds of barbecues, right? You can taste dumplings. So because of the variety, you really learn to appreciate the different kinds of Chinese cuisine. But not only that, because you have Chinatown, you see all the characters outside, you feel a little bit that like you are in China, right? All the Chinese characters are there for the names of the restaurants. Of course, here we have the characters translated into English, but still you feel like you're there. As you can see, the timer went off. I spoke for 1 minute as best I could. I didn't practice it. I didn't prepare it. I especially did not write it down. So that's what I want you to do with all the other questions by yourself or with the virtual partner that you choose. But imagine that you have very basic English. You don't understand the questions, right? So I'm going to help you with a video. In the video, what we're going to do is we're going to use Google App to translate the questions. They're amazing. Here's the video. First, you have to download Google App, right? There you go. You open it. You take a picture of what you want to translate. You choose the language from English to Spanish or whatever. You choose the picture, right? And then after you choose the picture, Google App does the magic. It translates everything. It's amazing. And then if you don't understand at the beginning, here you have the text in English, and then you have it, for example, in Spanish, but there are many languages that you can choose from. Again, this is very helpful if you're a beginner and you really don't understand anything, because you can be creative and you can be active even if you don't understand everything. Also, if you use the Google app, you can open it again, right? And it's really amazing for pronunciation. You just copy the sentence, whatever you want in English, and it actually speaks for you. Listen to it.
¿Por qué te gusta ir a restaurantes?
Why do you like to go to restaurants?
That's amazing. And it has really good pronunciation. It's not that bad, right? So you have the possibility with your phone, by just using an app, to be very independent, to be very autonomous. The idea again is use it. You can use it not only to translate if you don't understand, but also for pronunciation. Remember, in a function, pronunciation and in a function, speaking are the most important things. And not only for them, right? For everything in English. Great. Our first exercise, again, is for speaking. Remember, we try to activate your English, so we're always focused on trying to use English, right? This is called Your Favorites, and it's going to be for a few minutes, right? Be very relaxed about it. Don't worry about grammar. Just say whatever you can. And the idea is the following. You have 4 areas, usually when you have food in a restaurant. One is the appetizer, the beginning, right? The start. Then you have the main course, the main idea, the main dish. Then you have the dessert, right? The dessert is the final part. And then you have something to drink. It's called a beverage, right? Let's try to pronounce them. The first one is appetizer. The second one is main course. Number 3 is dessert. And number 4 is beverage. Beverage. Good, good. So in my case, here I'm going to give you my own favorites. This is Teacher Andy. And for appetizer, I love dim sum. Dim sum, you're going to learn a little bit about it later on, I promise. But it's the start, right? Then you have the main course, the big plate, the main thing. And for me, chicken and rice. I am Latino also, right? So I love chicken and rice, especially with a lot of sauce. Then number 3 is dessert. I love chocolate. I'm addicted to chocolate, right? I have to have it every week, and I enjoy it so much, especially dark chocolate. It's healthy, right? And finally, you have for beverage, you have green tea. Again, I think you have to take care of yourself. Green tea is so good for you, right? Healthy, and you learn to love it. It's really, really special. Again, what I want you to do is, again, I look over here. I want you to tell me what are the appetizers, the main course, the dessert, and the beverage that you like yourself. And also use Skype or use Zoom to talk virtually to a friend and ask them what is their favorite appetizer, their main course, the dessert, or the beverage. And you can ask relatives, you can ask even your mom or whoever you want. Okay, so go ahead, be very relaxed. Do it for about 4 minutes. And again, just feel that you're using the language. Right? When looking at a function, remember we use it for speaking. So usually it is for a conversation. So what we're going to do is first, I want you to try to remember the different parts to a conversation in ordering in a restaurant. You have been to many classes, many of you, and I know you know a lot of stuff, right? So try to remember before we go ahead. Now, how are we going to do it? Remember, when we have a conversation in a restaurant, usually there are two people in the conversation. One is the waiter, right? Or the waitress, of course. And then the second one is the customer, right? So what we're going to do is this. We're going to go ahead and do the conversation numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do the number, right? I'm just going to show you, and you're going to have to try to remember and try to fill it out. Don't worry, I'm going to give you the answers, but first try to activate your English without me, without the teacher. The whole point is you learn a lot of English outside this YouTube, right? In many English classes. So what is the point of me telling you? Again, more important is that you are able to come up with the answer. So number 1 is, hello, my name is, this one's very easy, right? For the waiter. And again, the waiter can say, are you ready? How do you complete it? May I? How do you complete it? What can I? And then the customer, and the conversation continues. The customer can say, hi there, can you give us? And again, the customer can ask after, I would like to, or we would like a, I'll have. Number 4, again, the waiter, because it's a conversation, right? Would you like to? Would you like a? What kind of? Would you care for? And would you like that? SML, what does SML mean? Right. Number 5, the customer can say, can you change? Could you bring me? I want. Number 6, again, the waiter, is that anything? I'll be back. Again, the customer, could I or could we have the, at the end, what does the customer ask for? Number 8, how will you? Again, the idea for the last part of the conversation. And number 9, we, how do you say that? And here is your, again, what does the customer usually say at the end to give money to the waiter? Great. If you didn't know any of them, or if you just remember a few of them, remember, the idea is for you to try to remember, but don't worry, we're going to do them together. Okay, so here you have the full conversation. And the important thing is, look, I actually do the same exercise when I'm in a real classroom, right? There you have the whiteboard. There you can check and see, oh, this guy, he does it also when he's in the real classroom. I'm trying to change it so that we can do it over the internet, right? So how does it look like? Here we have a full conversation. Again, we have 2 parts, right? We have the waiter and we have the customer. What we're going to do is, as you can see, I filled out the sections that you had to remember, and we're going to work together so that you can pronounce them really well. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go again, the conversation together. Number 1, number 2, waiter, customer, customer, waiter, so that again, you get used to the function. The function is a conversation. One person starts, one person continues. You have to be able not only to speak, but you have to try to understand what the waiter says to you, okay? So number 1, let's do it together, right? So again, for the name, very easy, but let's do it. Hello, my name is Andy Eduardo. It's true, my name is Eduardo. I think that sounds more like a chef, so I prefer it for that. And then you have some questions. The waiter comes and he says, please repeat after me, okay? Are you ready to order? Number 2, may I help you? Number 3, what can I get you? Very good. So this is the start. Again, the waiter asks and the customer can answer. Imagine the customer has, again, the menu. Sorry, gets the menu, but they're not ready, right? So they're not ready. They can ask for some time, right? For the time, they can say, can you please repeat? Can you give us a minute? Great. Or better, can you give us a minute? Again, the conversation continues. Once the person selects from the menu, they can ask, they can order, right? And we're going to do them together. For example, this one, number 3, I would like to drink some wine. Can you repeat it? Number 2 is, I would like a Greek salad, right? Great. Or number 3, I'll have the special chicken. Very good. Excellent, excellent. Now, for number 4, the idea is the waiter, again, can ask more questions and they can say, so number 4, the waiter or waitress can ask, would you like to drink some water? Again, please repeat it. Would you like to drink some water? Again, if I use like to, we need a verb, like to drink, like to eat, right? The next one is, would you like a glass of water? If I just use like, then I have a noun, for example, a glass of water. Can you please repeat it? Would you like a glass of water? Or you can say, in general, what kind of appetizer, what kind of drink, what kind of dessert would you like, right? Can you please repeat that for me? What kind of appetizer would you like? Or what kind of drink would you like? Again, go ahead, try to repeat it. The next one is, would you care for some water? Again, all are the same idea. The waiter can say all of these. You have to be prepared to listen to them, right? So that you understand and can continue the conversation. Please repeat it with me. Would you care for some water? As you can see, would you care is in parentheses. Sorry, would you? And the idea is that many times people will just say, care for some water, care for something to drink. And again, they are saying, would you care? But in English, you can omit or you can skip some sections, right? Next one is, would you like that? Remember, we asked for SML. Remember, that was small, medium, or large. We're going to say it together. Would you like that small, medium, or large? Please repeat it after me. Would you like that small, medium, or large? Very good. That's the idea. Try to say it completely, right? Number 5, again, the customer may have some changes, so he can ask, can you change the chicken for fish, right? Can you change? Can you please repeat that? Can you change the chicken for fish? Or I can say, could you bring me some ketchup? Could you bring me some ketchup? Excellent. Or usually when it's a child, when it's children, they will be less polite, right? More informal, and they will say, I want chocolate ice cream, right? It's not so nice, right? But you use want instead of would like. Conversation continues. The waiter or waitress can say, is that all? Can you repeat it for me? Is that all? Or anything else? If you want something more, right? Or the waitress can say, I'll be back in a minute, or I'll be back in a second, right? Give you some more time to order. When we're finishing, right, our meal, our lunch, or our dinner, then you have to pay, right? So again, the customer can say, can I or can we, right? Could I have the bill? Could I have the bill? Sorry, could I have the bill? Again, the idea is you're going to pay. And again, the waiter will usually respond in the conversation, right? Remember, speaking and listening. The idea is the waiter can say, or the waitress, how will you pay? How will you pay? Again, the idea is, are you going to pay with cash, or are you going to use a credit card, or you're going to use a debit card? And finally, you can get some general information, right? If you really liked it, you can say, we loved it. We liked it, right? You really liked the restaurant. We loved it. We liked it. Can you repeat that for me? We liked it. We loved it. Finally, remember, in many countries, you have to give a little extra to the waiter or to the waitress, and this we call a tip. So usually you say, here's your tip. Here is your tip. Okay, great. That's really amazing. So you see, we started with you trying to remember the different parts of the conversation, but now I'm helping you so that you have an example that you can follow, right? We try to repeat it so that you can practice it at home, right? But very important before we continue is this. As you can see, for example, I can have the questions from the waiter. Let's look at number 4. It says, would you like to drink some water, right? Many students will say this question this way. They will say, would you like to drink some water? Now, the problem is, in English, we never speak like that. In English, we have groups, so we never accent every word like that. In many languages, yes, in Spanish, in French, in Japanese. So please, try to repeat with me. Try to understand what I'm saying. I say for number 4, would you like? Would you like? I don't say, would you like, but would you like? A group, would you like? Excellent. Try to repeat it. Would you like? Excellent, excellent. You see how it's just very different? Would you like? It's like you hear like, but the other parts, it's kind of strange. You don't hear them that much. And you don't say like to drink, but you say like to drink, like to drink. If you listen carefully, I say drink, but I don't say to. I don't say like to drink. I say like to drink, like to drink. Now, together, it sounds like this. Would you like to drink? Would you like to drink? You see? You don't say, would you like to drink, but Would you like to drink? 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 This is the idea. That's why for many students, it is so difficult to understand English because they want the person to speak like your language. Like if it's Spanish or if it's French, right? They want the waiter to say, would you like to drink some water? But again, this is more robotic. This is not the way English works. It works more like Spanish or like French if you say every single word. But English is different. Remember, we have groups. You have to start to get used to saying the groups, but not only saying the groups, listening to the groups. So listen to me one more time. I don't say, would you like to drink some water? I say in the groups, would you like? Would you like? Would you like to drink? Would you like to drink some water? 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 Try to repeat it this way. And then in the other questions, try to listen to the way that I said them and try to practice having the groups that we have in English and not repeating like your language, which has many times just accent in every single syllable and every single word. Okay, great. That's what we have to do. What I told you, when we look at functions, functions are very important because we use them for speaking, and the way to learn them is not so much by actually writing them or by actually filling out a book, but actually looking at them in a conversation. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to look at a conversation for ordering in a restaurant, and this way you can practice the conversation not only for speaking, but you get used to listening to the conversation. So when you're in a real situation, when you are in a restaurant, then not only can you say what you want to say, but you understand what the waiter is going to say. So let's go ahead and do it, right? This is a conversation from an amazing book that is called 50-50. It's from Pearson, and Pearson is very generous. They're so generous that they give the students all these dialogues so that they can download them. Not only teachers, but students can download them. This is an example of the one that they have. So here we go. This is the conversation. And we're going to you follow in the screen and you're just going to listen to it, okay? Let's go ahead and do it.
Unit 14. Let's eat out. Warm up. Track 68.
May I help you?
I'd like a hamburger and fries.
What would you like to drink?
I'll have a Coke.
Small, medium, or large?
Large, please.
Anything else?
Nothing.
You see, when we can actually look at the conversation, English becomes easier, right? Because you just follow, you listen, your eyes follow the conversation. It's kind of the way that we learn. But remember, when you're in the restaurant, you don't have the paper, you don't have the book, so you have to get used to be able to identify the sounds just by not looking at the textbook. First thing we're going to do is we're just going to look at the conversation and again try to remember some of the expressions we saw earlier and look at where they appear. For example, the first one is when the waiter says, "May I help you?" Remember, we did that before, right? The second one is when the customer orders, he says, "I'd like a hamburger." Again, I have "I would like," and again it becomes "I'd like," and again it appears in a specific conversation. Number 3 is what would you like to drink? You see, again, the vocabulary we used before is really important in the actual conversation we're doing right now. There are more examples. I'll have a Coke, or small, medium, large, right? Or at the end, the waiter says, "Anything else?" right? Again, a lot of the vocabulary we did begins to appear. But the most important thing the most important thing is to be able to understand the waiter, right? Because if you're in the restaurant and you try to listen in Spanish or in French or in Japanese, you want the waiter to say, "Would you like to," right? But remember, English doesn't work that way. You don't say, "Would you like to drink?" You say, "Would you like? Would you like to drink? Would you like to drink?" So you have to prepare your ears that are used to listening to Spanish, French, Japanese, Chinese. And the idea is, how do you do it, right? You do it by not looking at the paper. The more you free yourself from the paper, from the book, the more your ears are open to listening to English. So as you can see, I have blocked the conversation and we're going to listen to it one more time. But now you're going to listen to it and try to hear the English sounds. Ready? Go for it.
Unit 14. Let's eat out. Warm up. Track 68.
May I help you?
I'd like a hamburger and fries.
What would you like to drink?
I'll have a Coke.
Small, medium, or large?
Large, please.
Anything else?
Nothing.
Excellent. That's the idea. What you can do at home is to actually repeat this process again and again and again. The more you repeat it, the more you will get used to the sounds of English. And again, your ear will hear would you like and not so much would you like to drink. Okay, great. That's previous exercise. Don't forget to record yourself, right? Use your phone, use a recording app, and then you can do it audio or you can do it video or both. And so that way you can compare your intonation with the original intonation. That's the best way to make sure that your intonation it sounds more like it does in English. The most important thing with a function, again, is to actually use it, right? So what we have to do is to actually repeat dialogues like the one that we used before. We're going to set up an exercise so that you can do exactly that. This one over here, you have different foods, right? The first one is the main, remember, is the principal one. And you have different food stuff. Then you have the sides, right? Smaller plates. And then you have specifically the drinks. And finally, you have the dessert. What I want you to do is, together with a friend, if it's virtual, great. If it's at home with a relative, try to recreate the conversation we did before. How do you do it? Again, follow the same steps, or if you want, choose other examples from the list that we had previously. And again, try to make it so that the conversation, waiter, waitress, customer, waitress, customer, and customer again, waitress, you have the ability to develop it more naturally, right? Let's look at the vocabulary just in case you cannot pronounce it, okay? For the main, you have hamburger. Please repeat it. Great. Roasted chicken, tuna salad, green salad, spaghetti. Then for the side, you have French fries, baked potato, chicken soup, spring rolls. Please repeat those. For the drinks, you have Coke, iced tea, green tea, or coconut water. And for dessert, you have apple pie, ice cream, vegan brownie, or coffee. Again, don't worry about the pronunciation, don't worry about the perfect grammar, but try to use the expressions we used earlier, because remember, when we order in a restaurant, the important thing is to activate your English, to actually use the English that you know and not have it in your mind. In the previous exercise, we focused on speaking, right? Trying to do the conversation together with a friend. If you're by yourself, do it by yourself. That'll be fine. Now we're going to try to focus on listening, because remember, for a function we have speaking, you have to be able to be the customer, but if you're the customer, right, then you have to be able to understand the waiter, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to do an exercise specifically for listening again to a conversation. We have to try to make it real. And for this one, we're going to use the amazing 50/50 series from Pearson. Again, they're very generous. They let us use their audios, and I'll give you the link so that you can download them for yourself. This is a conversation, and here you have different questions. Now, what I want you to do is listen to the conversation. And as you can see, you have many, many questions. Follow the conversation and try to select which questions they actually use, which questions they actually say, and tell me what is the first question, the second one, the third one, the fourth one. Just number them, okay? Just in a paper that you have there.
Listening task. Track 69.
Excuse me, waiter?
Yes, are you ready to order?
Yes, we are. Susan?
I'll have a cheeseburger.
How would you like it?
Medium, please.
Uh-huh.
And I'd like a bacon burger, well done, and onion rings.
Okay.
You know what? I'll have a bacon burger too. Can you change that?
Sure, no problem.
And could you also bring me a salad?
Make that 2.
Okay, and what kind of dressing would you like?
Italian, please. Wait, no, I'll have French.
I'd like Russian.
Would you care for anything to drink?
Yeah, I'd like a milkshake.
Vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry?
Vanilla.
And you, sir?
A Coke, please.
Large or small?
Large.
I'm sorry, make that chocolate.
Sure, no problem. Anything else?
No, not right now, thanks.
Would you,
Could I also have French fries?
Sure. French fries. Okay. Would you like your drinks now?
Yes, please.
Fine. Miss?
Yes? Oh, sure, now's fine.
Is that Huh?
Yeah, I think so.
So what do you think? That's more like a real situation? Again, a lot of information, right? It goes back and forth. They don't give you time. The waiter is not an English teacher, right? They just speak English, right? So you have to be able to understand it and react very quickly. And that's not easy, especially because remember, in English, we use a different kind of accent. We group things and we don't accent every single word. Let's try to do it and see which questions you actually thought they used in the conversation. Number one was, are you ready to order? Now, listen again later on to the conversation and tell me, do they say, are you ready to order? Again, robotic or more like Spanish or more like French or Japanese or Mandarin Chinese. The idea is they don't say it like that. They say, are you ready? Are you ready to order? Are you ready to order? Again, you see, are you ready? Are you ready to order? Are you ready to order? You see the idea? Are you ready to order? Are you ready to order? And not, are you ready to order? So if you want to hear, are you ready to order? Then you're never going to understand English because nobody speaks like that. The way that we speak in English is in groups. And that's why listening exercises are so important. Real listening exercises, right? Let's look at number two. So what was the second question we heard? It was, how would you like it? They don't say, how would you like it? They say, how would you like? How would you like it? 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 Great. Try to repeat it. Try to get used to it. Number three is, what kind of dressing? What kind of dressing would you like? Number four is, would you care for anything to drink? Would you care for anything to drink? Remember, we said that many times waiters don't say, would you care? They just say care because in English, we can omit it. We say, care for anything else? Care for anything to drink? Not, would you care for anything to drink, right? The two are good, but many times you have to be prepared for them to say, care for anything to drink, right? Not just, very good. Number five is, large or small? That one's very easy, right? Number six is anything else? Anything else, right? And number seven is, would you like your drinks? Would you like your drinks now? 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 Excellent. The more you practice those groups, try to repeat them in your own time, the better you're going to be prepared to understand English. And again, remember, we started the lesson by saying, functions are very important because they make you feel good about your English. Why? Because if you can say the sentences or questions with English accent, then you are preparing to understand them when somebody speaks to you. If I say the sentences in my own language with the accent of Spanish or French, I will say, are you ready to order? And again, I am not preparing my ear to listen to English, and I will be frustrated because of that, right? So again, here we have one conversation exercise before for speaking. Now we have a listening exercise so that you again activate the ability to speak and to listen, and again, not be frustrated with English, but actually feel great about learning a new language. Learning a new language is an amazing possibility. Good for you. You have to try to think of more speaking exercises so that you actually feel that you're using the language and are more prepared to use it, right? Now, this is another speaking exercise, and it's the following, right? It's going to be a little bit tough. I want you to try to react as quickly as possible. I'll show you a picture and I'll show you a question. What I want you to do is try to answer something when you hear the question. All the questions are going to be by a waiter or waitress, so it's easier for you. But here we go. Ready? Look at the question, right? Look at the picture, look at the question. Try to answer as fast as you can. Imagine you're in a restaurant. Waiters are not teachers. They want you to answer quickly, right? So here we go. Number one. Number two. Number three. Number four. Number five. Great. So you see, you did it. You try to imagine that you were in a situation where the waiter or a customer is in the restaurant and you have to just quickly, without looking at the paper, without looking at the book, react and use your English. If you prepare this way, when you're in an actual restaurant and you have to use your English, you will be so much more relaxed, okay? Because you are really prepared to listen and to speak using the English language. For the next 3 exercises, we're going to be using menus, right? Now, the first menu is going to be a more simple one. The first menu is going to be a simple one. And then we're going to use more difficult menus. If you are an intermediate or beginner student, you might want to use the simpler menu. But if you're upper intermediate, then go ahead and use the other more difficult menus. The first one is a simple one. Then we are going to go to some multicultural menus, and then we're going to look at a specific Canadian menu because, you know, Teacher Andy is Canadian. So here's the menu. I'm going to blow it up for you so that you can see the different choices, again, by the amazing 50/50 textbook. And again, for this one, I'm not going to do so much as before. It's up to you now. Student A, you're going to be the waiter or the waitress, and student B and C, if you're 3, or if you're just 2, then student A and student B, you're customers, right? What I want you to do is recreate the conversation for ordering in a restaurant. Here you have many options: entrees, which is starters, right? Soup, salad, beverages, dessert, main dishes, whatever you want, right? Try again not to write the sentences, because we don't write them as much for functions, but instead look at the page where we have all the options and try quickly. If you have to look again, how does it start? The waiter number 1, then the customer number 2 or 3, right? Then the waiter number 4. Of course, there's a lot of variation, but I just give you these numbers so that you can choose and try to recreate the conversation by going back and forth. Customer, waiter, waiter, customer, and then you can develop it much more on your own. Again, this is the idea. Take turns. If you have to use Skype right now because of the virtual situation, then go ahead and do it. For our next menu, we're going to use an actual real menu from Canada. It's from a restaurant here in Toronto and again in Canada called Swiss Chalet. It is a very, very famous restaurant here. Canadians really love it very much. Here's the menu for you. I'm going to blow it up for you so that you can see the details. And here's the second part. And again, here you have the starters, you have the salads, you have different kinds of chicken dinners, barbecue ribs, different stuff, right? What is the point? The point is for you to actually feel that you're looking at and using a real menu so that you learn English with real situations, right? This way, when you actually use it, you are more prepared than if you just use imaginary menus, right? So that you believe me, right? Here's the menu. I've got it. Here's the physical copy. And again, I try to get all this information so that you feel that we have real information for you to practice your English. Go ahead and do it. Recreate the conversation as we did before, but now try to learn a little bit more vocabulary. Try to at least find 10 words that you didn't know. And this way, you will not only be more prepared for the function of ordering in a restaurant, but you will also have more vocabulary so that you can go into the restaurant and participate more in the actual situation. You can also look at the app. You can have a taste of what it is to have a Canadian restaurant. It's right here. I'm going to open it for you. I've made a short video so that you can look at some of the information. Look at it, look at some vocabulary. You can feel a little bit like what it is like to be here in Canada, okay? Because Toronto is such a multicultural city, then here we have restaurants from all over the world. In each neighborhood, we have Thai, Vietnamese, Japanese, Chinese, Polish, Korean, all the different cuisines from the world, Latin American, African, you will find everything. It's really, really amazing. So what I want you to do is I want you to feel that you're here in Toronto by using different multicultural menus. The only difference with the other exercises is that now we have three individuals involved. One is the waiter, then you have the customer, but I want you to also imagine that you have a third person that is a chef. Now, the idea for this one, you have the instructions here. Basically, as we did before, try again, because we're in a situation right now where we cannot communicate because of social distancing, but only using Skype or other apps. Then try to set up a virtual situation with three people. Or if your relatives are at home and they want to practice their English because we don't have a lot of stuff to do, then this is the moment to try to learn to actually order in a restaurant. You feel great if you're able to actually just say, oh my God, I learned how to order in a restaurant in English and I can actually use it. So here we go. These are the three menus. One is Jamaican, one is Indian, and one is Japanese. As you can see, I selected three colors. One is for the customer, one is for the waiter, one is for the chef. You can decide who is who. And then again, try to find some vocabulary. Here is again the Jamaican one. I'm going to blow it up for you so that you can see. And maybe you've never heard of these different kinds of foods. There's jerk chicken, delicious, but maybe you've never seen it. You can see it there. Then you have specifically some Indian food. In Toronto, we have a lot of Indian restaurants. It's really amazing. So different from anything you have seen before. Butter chicken, oh my God, it's amazing. And then you have Japanese food. This is more common around the world. You know, sushi is very popular. But again, you will have some specific kinds of sushi that maybe you did not know about. Okay, so again, try to recreate it. The most important thing, try to feel that you're here in Toronto where you have so many restaurants. Maybe in the future when COVID-19 is over, you will be able to come to Canada and visit us. Great. For sure, check out the post from Smart Traveler. There you will find different dishes from different cuisines, very multicultural, and you have an idea of what we're talking about when you're living here in Toronto. Always, we have some homework exercises for the class that we will set up using Skype or Zoom. And the first exercise is going to be this one. Again, practice the conversation that we already had. You have the menus, you have the Canadian menu, you have the multicultural menu. Or if you're a beginner student, don't worry, just use the more basic one. The point is just for you to be able to see for yourself that you're using the language, right? Very important, try to get the intonation, improve your intonation, right? Don't say, would you like to drink, but would you like? Would you like to drink? Would you like to drink some coffee? Would you like to drink some water? That way, you will feel that your English, it actually sounds more like English does, okay? Second exercise is this one. I want you to just Google, again, about the slow food movement. Learn a little bit about it. Remember, right now we're in this very difficult situation because of COVID-19, and I think the slow food movement tries to teach us more about how we should really enjoy food, better food, and maybe we're more prepared for these difficult situations. Or if you don't like that topic, research a little bit about dim sum. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it myself. Just prepare a 3-minute relaxed presentation and we will use it in the class. Also, we have exercise number 3. I know that many people here are watching from all over the world, so I want you to think about your own country and I want you to try to come up with a gastronomic tour of your country. I don't want it to be too complicated because again, we all have many different dishes in our different countries, but think about 3 or 4 that you would like to share with others. Now, what I want you to do is again, use your phone to record yourself. A very basic idea. Again, try maximum 3 or 4 minutes, but again, try to connect the English that you're learning with the person you are already. You come from a specific tradition, from a specific country. What best way to learn English? By showing us what the food in your country is like, if you have special restaurants. Finally, if you want to, again, apply this to movies, remember we're watching lots of movies right now, and the idea is we have Ratatouille, and it's, again, an Oscar-winning movie. And in this one, it's really beautiful, and again, they say something like this. The slogan is, anyone can cook. Do you agree with that or not? Watch it. And if I were you, and watch the movie and use English subtitles. Again, you listen and you practice English. You listen and you practice English, especially if you're intermediate. If you're a beginner, again, don't worry, watch it in Spanish or French or Japanese. But again, use the English subtitles so that your eyes get used to what the words that English uses for a specific situation are. Okay, this is again our friend over here, Ratatouille. What a beautiful guy, right? And then for number 5, remember we're setting up the specific online class, and then we'll find a time that is good for you and is good for me to be able to, again, correct and look at all these exercises together. We have come to the end of another lesson here at Proactive ESL with Teacher Andy. You have my website over there. You have my email as well. I just want to say thanks so much. Again, I know it's tough. I know it's many elements, focusing on speaking, focusing on pronunciation, and especially in listening, that is so tough. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you want, please like it if you really enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel. I'll try to upload as many videos as I can. Right now, we have the time to do it, and I just want to help you try to improve your English and feel great about it. What can I say? Bon appetit. Sorry, that's in French, but again, we use it a lot on restaurants. And again, thank you so much. We always try to have a surprise at the end of our videos so that you can feel that you're engaged more with English. And here we have a specific menu. Here it's from Toronto. It's a dim sum menu. Later on, take a screenshot. You can look at it. It's the real thing. It's from a noble Chinese restaurant. I used to go there many times. Oh my God, I enjoyed it so much. Dim sum are small dishes that Chinese cuisine offers, and it's just really fantastic. Here is a picture of Teacher Andy with his dim sum menu here in Toronto. And as you can see, the table is full of dim sum. One of the most famous dim sum, oh, here you have an example of the different possibilities, and you have the chopsticks, of course. And one of the most famous is this one, is chicken feet. In Chinese, in Mandarin Chinese, you say feng jiao. And here you have the Chinese characters, which is kind of cool, and it actually looks a little bit like the dish. For many cultures, chicken feet are just not really appealing. They're not really that good. But for us, it's just really something that is very delicious. Then you have another example over here. You have dumplings. Dumplings, again, are very special to Chinese cuisine. And these ones are called xia jiao. And xia jiao, the idea is these are dumplings that are filled with shrimp. Again, if you don't know what shrimp is, Google it. And for this ones, again, really delicious. They come in bamboo baskets, as you can see. Finally, if you want to learn a little bit more about the current situation in China with food, remember the situation right now that we're in with COVID-19 started because of food, right? The idea, or at least we believe it started because of food. So in this talk, it's called The Future of Good Food in China. It is 5 minutes long, very short, not very long. You can use subtitles if you're intermediate, so you can listen and again look at the English as well. And this way you will be more prepared to try to understand what's going on in the world around you. That's what we try to do. We try with Proactive ESL not only to activate your English, but to actually become more conscious and more interested in finding and understanding the situations that we're in right now. The final thing that I want to share with you is, so that you believe me, I have learned the different languages, so I have been in your situation where I have to learn how to order in a restaurant in different languages. I can say it in different ones, right? I can say it in Spanish, I can say it in French, but recently I started learning Mandarin, and here you have the actual conversation in Mandarin where you hear how you order in a restaurant in Mandarin. I'm going to play it for you, listen to it, and tell me, is it easy or tough? Then I'm going to try to say it myself so that you believe that what I'm asking you to do, I do it myself. I have done it before for different languages. I'm going to continue doing it because learning a language is one of the most beautiful things that you can do in your life. It teaches you how to learn, and it takes a lot of courage to try to make mistakes. So again, I really believe that you should go ahead and do it not only for English, but for other ones as well. Take care. So that you believe me, I've had to do the same kind of exercises for the different languages I have learned. For example, I can say it in Spanish, usted que desea para tomar, or I can say it in French, qu'est-ce que vous voulez boire, or I can say it in German, right? Was möchten Sie trinken? Or I can also say it in the new language I'm trying to learn. I'm going to try to say it the best that I can. You can check out my pronunciation.
晚上好，先生，您想喝点什么？
晚上好，先生，您想喝点什么？ Chinese students, please check my pronunciation, see if it's okay. Thanks again. Have a great day.